just rolled out of bed, having a little sip of water. A date just to get going. These dates are good. Why did the date lose his license? Because he was driving stoned. I've got a question. Why does Dave Asprey have to take diabetes medication? Well, let's check it out. So recently on the net, news.com.au had an article about Bulletproof exec Dave Asprey. That's his little catchphrase, marketing term, trademark. Bulletproof. Says he sleeps 5 hours a night, lost 45 kilos, claims to raise his IQ points. But Dave is on medication for diabetes. This is not actually Dave, this is just someone else. I like how they always use pictures of lean people to get an article across, but actually Dave's still overweight. So Dave's diet is basically drink lots of coffee in the morning with a little bit of butter in there. And he uses the caffeine as a stimulant so you avoid hunger. But that's bad because then you want to eat fatty stuff later on. So Dave is taking metformin because he has diabetes. He has diabetes and he takes Provigil, which is an anti-narcolepsy medication, Provigil is stronger than cocaine. It is some strong shit, and it's because it's from the pharmacy, from the lab, it's very consistent. With cocaine on the street, you don't know what the fuck you're getting. Provigil is legal cocaine. It's fucking strong shit. To boost his brain power, stay focused, because he's got a lot of stodge, all the fat in the blood, you can't think. So to do the high carb diet, you don't need Provigil, you don't need metformin. To do the low carb, high fat diet, you definitely need the metformin to boost your insulin, and you definitely need Provigil to think, because you will be thrashed on the low carb diet. You won't be able to think. So why does Dave Asprey have diabetes? Simply because of his high fat diet. Easy. So I'm glad that Dave is transparent. I mean, a lot of his followers don't know he has to take diabetes medication, testosterone, and modafinil. Dave's been taking testosterone for the last 10 years. He's reasonably transparent about it. It's on his blog. He takes the modafinil Provigil drug, which is an anti-narcolepsy drug, which is like powerful stuff. I mean, it's like 60 Minutes did a show with him and said, Dave, maybe if you don't take the modafinil Provigil, what would happen to your brain function? So he did that and he goes, couldn't work. So it's not the bulletproof coffee, it's the Provigil diet, it's the modafinil diet.
What's your secret? Medication.
It may seem utterly fantastical, but not so, says Dave Asprey, a successful executive. He often gets up at 4:45, pops a pill, prepares breakfast for his 2 children.
Really? There you go.
Then gallops into his high-pressure job as vice president of a billion-dollar internet security firm.
This can be the difference between I'm just making it through the day to I had like the best day of my life.
The drug is called Provigil. It's only approved for narcolepsy, sleep apnea, or for people who work irregular hours. But many people are now taking it for an off-label use to boost energy and focus. The drug, which has been nicknamed Viagra for the brain, is quietly being used by military pilots, pro athletes, pro poker players, and maybe by the man or woman who's kicking your butt at the office. On the internet, there are hundreds of sites evangelizing for Provigil, explaining how to get your doctor to prescribe it to you or how to get it without a prescription. In fact, there is literally one site called BuyProvigilWithoutPrescription.com. We found a whole secret society of the successful using Provigil to get ahead. The lobbyist who gets up at 5 a.m. for 2 full workouts before work.
I could not do this without the Provigil. It wouldn't be the same.
From what you're saying, it sounds like it's hard to overstate the impact that this has had on your life.
It's amazing. I just don't get it why more people don't know about it.
The computer programmer who can now write code for 12 hours at a time.
It helps you focus up for exceptionally long periods of time.
And the brain researcher finding connections nobody else is seeing.
It's just a clear day. The fog isn't there.
Turns out they are sisters, but the brain researcher can't get a prescription. So the 2 women have established their own little black market.
How often do you send her pills?
Well, the poor thing. She tries to use it very sparingly so that I don't have to send her as much. But she says, too, that she couldn't live without it. We call it the miracle drug.
Dave Asprey, one of the few people willing to go public with his Provigil use, says he once flew 20 hours to Australia with almost no sleep, got off the plane, took a Provigil, and delivered a series of speeches that were so good they made the local papers.
It worked.
Recently, a reporter for Current TV took Provigil.
Down the hatch. Cheers.
And 24 hours later, with no sleep, he was intently assembling furniture at 3 in the morning. However, remember, this drug is not approved simply as an energy booster for otherwise healthy people. A few years ago, in fact, the maker of this drug got slapped with a warning letter by federal authorities for marketing the drug for off-label uses. Now, Teva Pharmaceuticals says Provigil is not approved for, and we do not recommend Provigil for cognitive enhancement. We called doctors all over the country to ask them, is there a downside to Provigil? And they told us there are rare cases of people developing a life-threatening rash, but the truth is most people do not suffer any side effects. There is, however, one big fear, and it is what we don't know.
Give me 5.
There have been no studies of the long-term effects of Provigil on people like Dave Asprey.
So why put yourself at undue risk when you could simply get more sleep and engage in habits that are conducive for good sleep?
Still, the believers are determined to take Provigil, even if it means they're making themselves into human guinea pigs.
Okay, we're gonna have to start over.
Dave Asprey agrees it's a miracle drug. As a kind of experiment, we asked Dave to stop taking the drug for 3 days and undergo cognitive tests to measure his concentration and reaction time. During this whole 72-hour period, he said he just felt off.
I've noticed that my speech is very slightly altered.
After 3 days, I watched as he popped a Provigil.
All right, so I guess let's do it.
Let's see.
It took only 17 minutes for him to snap back. The world suddenly seemed brighter, he said. Dave compared it to the scene in The Wizard of Oz where it goes from black and white to color. And remember those cognitive tests? Even we could see it on the screen, a pronounced improvement over the day before. He says even if it were to turn out that Provigil could shorten his life, so be it.
Provigil helps me do that.
A little pill posing a provocative question. In a modern world where everybody wants an edge, how far are you willing to go? For Nightline, this is Dan Harris in New York.
So instead of saying bulletproof Zec, it should be Provigil Zec, modafinil Zec. Because that's what it is. When you're on modafinil, take some modafinil. Actually, don't take modafinil because it's going to fucking fuck up your endocrine system. Actually, cut the stimulants out of your body. Stop taking the caffeine, etc. Eat a high carbohydrate diet. Go to bed early. Drink more water so you have clear urine. You won't need the fucking legal speed and coke and be jittering yourself out, whacking yourself out with all these stimulants, hardcore stimulants. People are like, sugar's a stimulant. Sugar's a fucking nutrient. Sugar's in human mother's breast milk. Caffeine's not in human mother's breast milk. Modafinil sure as fuck ain't in there. Provigil, etc. So sugar's not a stimulant, it's a nutrient. So whenever someone says sugar's a stimulant, it's like saying fresh air is a stimulant. Oh, I want to go out inside and have some fresh air, I feel good. It's like, yeah, it's like exploding your Fitball. Almost fell off my Fitball then. It's hilarious. It's hilarious instantly, but people would rather die than change their diet. We know this. We know this. So many people say, Harley, you know, I had this conversation with them many years ago. I would be like, just giving so much time to someone and be like, oh, this and that and this. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then some people would be like, Harley, stop. I would rather fucking die than change my diet. I appreciate all the effort you put in, but I'll just be honest with you, I'd rather fucking die than change my diet. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me an hour ago? We could have saved a lot of back and forth. Most people would rather die than change their diet. Most people would rather take toxic medications, liver damaging medications for long periods of time than change their diet. Most people would rather do that. Our job is to reach the 0.1% of people on the planet who would actually go, hey, whoa, I can actually take responsibility versus taking a medication. I'll check it out. I'll do more homework. That's what it's about, is doing your homework. So why did Dave Asprey take metformin? Because he has to. Otherwise, he would die without it. His blood sugar will get so high, he'll go in diabetic coma. So Dave Asprey has to take the medication. It's a good thing he does, but if he got in Dr. Neil Barnard's program reversing diabetes, he would no longer need it. So I would recommend Dave Asprey get in contact with Dr. Neil Barnard and work with that doctor about getting him off diabetes medication, getting him on a high carbohydrate diet, getting his fat down, protein down, getting his weight down as well. And he won't need all the medications he's coming on. But again, work with Dr. Neil Barnard, Dave Asprey. Let us know your results. Thanks for watching.